So, my name is Cecily, and today we're going to be talking about what it's like to study in the UK, but more specifically to study at Bournemouth University. Okay, so essentially how we're going to break down the presentation today. We're going to talk about where exactly is Bournemouth. It's a question that I get a lot doing this work, just because a lot of people, when they think of the UK, they automatically think of London. But there's actually, an entire country, and so kind of about Bournemouth and the surrounding area. The next question would be, why would you want to choose the UK? Why, out of every place, if you are from North or South America, why would you choose to go to the UK? Why is that a good idea? I'll explain that. As someone who actually is from the USA and studied in the UK, I can explain a little bit more. And then we talk about kind of the subjects that Bournemouth has, as well as entry requirements, some fun facts about Bournemouth, as well as getting down to tuition fees and scholarships, accommodation, sports, and then a little bit more on how you can get more information, such as, if you have questions about visas and payments and more specific questions about accommodation, you guys can, I can give you guys contact information, and you guys can figure out how to, get that information as quickly as you can. So the first thing is why choose the UK? Well, for a lot of reasons, essentially, international students, undergrad student satisfaction with the UK is actually really high. So it's at 91%, which is extremely high. And I think I want to say it's about the same for postgrad students as well. I was a postgrad student, and I can say that my own personal experience with the UK schooling system, I felt it was a little bit more beneficial than my USA undergrad experience. And I can kind of explain a little bit more about that later in the presentation. But 85% of international undergrads do recommend studying in the UK, essentially more than any other English-speaking destination. The UK is rated the highest in 15 out of 23 measures of teaching and learning. And the number of non-EU, so everyone that's pretty much not living in Europe, it's actually increased. So there's more people finding a desire to go to the UK to study that aren't from the UK or Europe. And I say the best, not the best part, but one of the driving factors a lot of people kind of take into consideration when they're looking at the UK is that there's actually 3-year bachelor's degrees, which in the US, it's always 4 years for the most part. And sometimes it can be either more than 4 years depending on class availability. I know I have a lot of, colleagues that went to school on a 4-year plan and ended up leaving in 5 years. So the UK is actually really, really strict in their classes, in a sense that you will never have to worry about not getting a class because your class schedule is all laid out for you. And then the reason why I went to the UK as a master's student is because it's a 1-year master's degree. So instead of going to school in the US for 2 to 3 years to get my master's, I actually ended up getting my master's in 12 months, which is amazing. And now I have a little more buffer time to, find a job that I really do want. So where is Bournemouth? Bournemouth is 2 hours southwest of London. It is easily accessible by train, by bus, even by car. But I do know that most people that are international that are traveling to Bournemouth do use a train or a bus. I found that the train is a little bit faster, but the bus is more cost. It's better. It's cheaper, essentially, and you can get a student discount with National Express, so you can get 1/3 off your bus ticket. A little fun fact. But it's actually one of the most popular holiday destinations for British people. In the summer, there's so many people coming to Bournemouth to enjoy the beach because it is actually a coastal beach town. I lived in accommodation with Bournemouth, and I lived about 10 minutes walk from the beach, and it was kind of something out of a dream. I loved living by the beach. Even though I am from San Diego, so I'm used to the beach, I kind of like the idea of living so close that I could just walk by the beach. So that's a treat if you are going to study there. I mean, at least you have the beach. In terms of nightlife and bars and pubs, it's a really good nightlife. I did not expect it to be as good as it is, because I really did expect Bournemouth to be kind of like a sleepy little coastal beach town, but it actually was. It's a really big city. It's actually a 250,000 population, a little bit under 250,000 of people that live there, and it's amazingly accessible to get from Bournemouth to London. You can just take a train to London and you're there in 2 hours. So I thought it was going to be, a little bit more, small town England, but it's really not. So that was a pleasant surprise. Um, and then a little bit in the bottom, but you can actually read online. You can look at the student blogs for undergrads and postgrads, and they kind of talk about living in Bournemouth. I know I had to do an article once about kind of the food in Bournemouth and what types of places there is to eat there. It's really worldly, meaning that there's all kinds of places to eat. I know there's this really good Jamaican place that I really liked. There was this noodle bar that I fell in love with. There's Italian, there's, of course, pubs, there's anything. There's like an American burger joint. So anything you can imagine, there's a lot of it there. So that's kind of my favorite part, I guess, was just finding a bunch of different restaurants and eating there with friends and kind of exploring it. So here are some pictures of Bournemouth and the areas around it. I can kind of talk about them in a little circle, but essentially the picture in the middle is Bournemouth Beach, and that's really what it looks like in the summer. It can sometimes even get more packed than that, but that's kind of a typical sunny, beautiful day in the summer at Bournemouth Beach. And then in the top left is Old Harry Rocks, and there's actually like ancient, it's not ancient, it's like Jurassic coastline around Bournemouth area and down to Poole, and it's you can take tours there, and it's supposed to be like it's part of the World Heritage Site is what I was trying to say. But Durdle Door, you guys should look that up. Durdle, and it's like that famous arch with the water. I didn't know that was there, but it is there. And there's like a bunch of tours that you can go and you can climb down there, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I did that tour like 3 times because I had friends visit me, and I was like, we have to do this every single time. On the top right is fireworks at Poole. On November 5th, they celebrate Guy Fawkes Day, which is something, it's related to V for Vendetta, but it's kind of like a little, I wouldn't say a holiday, but it's like a little celebration there, and they have fireworks on November 5th. So I actually got to see those fireworks in Poole. And Poole is about like 30 minutes west of Bournemouth by bus, so it's really an easy trip to get there. And then the bottom right is Corfe Castle. Again, you can take like an hour bus ride there. And I love Corfe Castle. There's actually like a really cute tea shop right in front of the castle, and you can eat like, little sandwiches and have tea. And then the Bournemouth Air Festival is during August, which I was lucky enough that I had time to go because I was working on my dissertation. But it was a lot of fun, and I actually lived in, I'll talk about it more, but I lived in Chislehurst, and that was relatively close to the beach, and I was able to see like some of the really cool airplanes and jets from my window, so that was really cool. So why should you, out of all the schools, choose BU? First thing, BU has actually risen 20 places in the Times and the Sunday Times. So as I'm speaking now, Bournemouth is like considerably getting better and better and better, and rankings and everything. And I know that this information might even be a little bit needs to be updated, just because I mean, I know that Bournemouth is continuously improving. So it's actually the top 10 in the 2016 Guardian rankings for hospitality, events, and tourism. It's one of the top 20 schools and for journalism and public relations. It's the first university in the UK commended for quality of student learning opportunities. And it's also internationally recognized by the National Center for Computer Animation. So kind of the ones that you see there are actually what Bournemouth is known for. So Bournemouth University is really well known for its hospitality and events and tourism. It's extremely well known for journalism and mass media. And it's also really well known for like computer animation and computer animation in the sense of making movies. I know that actually a bunch of graduates from Bournemouth have worked on movies like Inside Out, Big Hero 6, you name it. A lot of really, Gravity is another one, Interstellar. So a lot of movies with like computer graphics and computer animation, a lot of those graduates actually ended up working on these movies. So, okay, and I just looked at your questions. I'm really glad that you guys can hear me and you can see the screen, because last time I forgot to share my screen and I was really upset. So I'm glad you guys can see me. Cool. So, okay. So there's more reasons to choose Bournemouth. And this is actually one of the main reasons why I was like more sold on coming there is the scholarships. If you have, there's a scholarship called the Academic Excellence Award, and if you have high second class honors, that's essentially that translates back to about a 3.3 or higher GPA. You are automatically eligible to get £2,000 scholarship. And you don't have to apply for that scholarship. You're automatically kind of put into a pool. And actually, I think the scholarship raised more, and I think we'll get to that, but I think it did raise a little bit higher over the years. So we'll get to that. But that's just one thing that I thought was really amazing, is that I know that a lot of schools in the U.S. they kind of don't give scholarships as much as you'd like. And the BU is really, really good to their international students. So over 1,000 scholarships are awarded, and of those 1,000, they're worth over £2 million. So 2,372 international students go to Bournemouth from 120 countries. I think that's a really great number. I didn't expect kind of Bournemouth, since it's, not London, right? So you always think if you're going to study in the UK, you're going to study in London. But actually, a lot of international students really gravitated toward Bournemouth because of how really renowned they are in some of their programs. So another really cool thing about Bournemouth, and a thing that I'm kind of sad about because I'm not there anymore, but they're continuously updating their facilities and their buildings and IT. And up by £200 million, which is incredible. And the way I can kind of explain Bournemouth, the best kind of way I could explain it, between Bournemouth and like Harvard. Harvard is very it's supposed to look rustic and old, a really old style university. Bournemouth is very fresh, new university. It's the Bournemouth University itself has been there since I believe 1920s, but the actual Talbot campus was just built in 1990s, and it's a really new university. So everything there is very high tech, very technical. It's very like futuristic looking, which I kind of enjoyed. I really like that, since the school I went to in the U.S. was very old fashioned, very older looking. So I kind of like this fresh university. And then another thing they added the 10 miles of sandy beaches. I know that convinces a lot of people. But it's beautiful. It truly is. The university itself is about a 45-minute walk from the beach, but it's like a 10-minute bus ride, if that. So, and then 96% of research done at Bournemouth was actually internationally recognized. So it's on on a academic scale, Bournemouth is really, really good. So yeah, I guess that's the best way you can explain it, is that my worry about applying to a school and going to a school in the UK that I've never heard of. I was worried about, it's their standings. And when I was kind of in your position, uh, thinking about, coming to Bournemouth, and I was hearing all this information, I was really, really kind of relieved that it's really kind of accredited and it's a really good university. So yeah, it's really good. Is the best way I can say, is that it's not like you're looking into a school that kind of ups itself. It's actually, really high accredited. And I think one thing that's not on this list, but I can tell you guys, is actually like within 6 months after graduating, over 90% of all graduates end up having a job. So that was kind of comforting to me, because I'm, currently doing the job search, but I can tell that because I have this master's and because I went here, um, I'm getting, more responses out of it. So I'm kind of happy to know about that. So yeah, this is a big deal. It's in the top 200 most internationally versed university. So Bournemouth is, and they really take pride in these standings. They were really proud of their international students. Is the best way I can explain it. And they are actually the reason why they do so many of these webinars and so many of these, online events, is because they want more international students, and they actually really welcome it. And this was the first university ever that I looked at that had all of these, these webinars and these online meets and these chats, that you can talk to someone from the university who has been to the university. And I thought it's very personable, I think. So that's kind of, it gives you kind of like a sense of like, okay, like they really want me. And so maybe I could consider going here. So here are some pictures of the campus. In the top left, that's the atrium, and that's actually was one of my favorite places in the campus. It's like right in the beginning, so you get off the bus and you walk right in, and there's like a Starbucks in there, and it's really light, and there's a lot of light coming in, and it's beautiful. And they call it the atrium because it looks like a bird cage. And I loved meeting my friends in there, and I loved studying in there. Just because sometimes I'd like to write my notes and do things with a lot of people in the background. I didn't necessarily felt the need that I had to hide myself in the library, so I liked going in there. The picture on the bottom left, that is a library. And the best way I could explain the library is that it is very practical. So it's less of like a grand library with like amazing bookcases and like hallways and secret passages. That was how my library was in the US. It's very like, this floor has these books, and it's very like you find your books, and it's perfect. There's tons of places to sit. There's tons of computers. There's over 300 computers with access for you to use, and it's just a very everything at Bournemouth is just practical. It was just how it was supposed to be, and everything that you needed was just there. So I really did enjoy that. So, and then the pictures on the right are kind of just the feel of it. It's a pretty small campus. I counted just because I thought it was so fascinating, but it actually takes about maybe like 3 minutes to go from one end to the other if you like walk really fast. At my old school, it took 20 minutes if I walked really fast to go from one end to the other. So I really liked having a small campus this time, because I didn't have to like sprint to my class. And your classes are never stacked, so you never really have to, at least mine weren't, but I never really had to worry about making it to class on time. So here's some more pictures. So it is really, I really like the buildings. They're super futuristic looking, fun, and just it's so different from what I was used to, and for what I was always, what I thought of what a UK school would look like. I really did think it was going to be like, old buildings, brick buildings, but it's really, really new and up to date, and I really liked it. So, getting down to the logistics of everything, entry requirements for people from the U.S. And this is something that I am pretty well known in because I've gone to college fairs, so I have to explain this all the time. But basically, if you want to get a bachelor's or an undergrad, if you want to come to Bournemouth to be an undergrad, you have to have your high school diploma with a minimum GPA of 3.0. And of course, obviously, it's always best if you have over a 3.0. So with that, you also have to have at least one of the following. You have to have an SAT between a 1700 and 1800 pre-March 2016. So I don't think you guys have to worry about that if you guys are interested in bachelor's. So now it's between a 1200 and 1300. The ACT is still the same. It's between a 24 and a 26. Of course, higher is always better. Some programs require you to take an SAT subject test, depending on your program. So I do know that a lot of science-based, so like biology and forensic biology, I do believe you have to take an SAT subject test. But you just need a score between a 575 and a 625. And then kind of the same thing. There's required classes. So again, you need anatomy, or you need, I know some history classes, you can use AP tests as kind of that extra class. So, and you need to get a score between a 3 and a 5. Now, if you are looking into Bournemouth for a master's, you need to have a bachelor's degree in a relevant subject. To say that, I mean, it helps. It does help if you have a relevant subject. However, if you're thinking of getting a master's in something different, they'll still consider you. So you might need some work experience, depending on the course. I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but I did my master's in forensic anthropology, so I didn't need any work experience. I just needed to have, relative experience. So I studied anthropology and criminal justice in undergrad. And then the GPA is between a 2.5 and a 3.5. Depending on the course. So I know some courses do require a 3.0 minimum. But it always helps, if you do have over a 3.0, just because there are scholarships available for that. So if you do have over 3.0, that's great. If not, it's not. I mean, you still will be considered if you have something between a 2.5. So that's good. Always good to know. So this is for Canada. I'm not as well versed in Canada, but this is here for everyone. But bachelor's degree, you just need a grade 12 secondary school diploma, and then your DEC. Master's degree, you need a Canadian bachelor's degree. So, and it just depends. And there's a lot more online. And that's essentially what I did when I was looking into Bournemouth. I really just went online for everything because I was so unsure, just because it was in a different country. So I was always making sure I check. And there are entry requirement. There's an entry requirement page on Bournemouth. You can type in into Google entry requirements Bournemouth University international students, and it'll come up. So again, for Latin America, completion of essentially for bachelor's is completing 12 years of secondary education, completing high school, and getting a diploma or a certificate, and then it has to be 75 and above, and then as well as a 1-year university studies in a relevant subject can replace your foundation certificate. So a little bit different. And then a master's degree is just a 4-year bachelor's degree from a university. So these are a few things, a few of our academic subjects. Like I mentioned before, Bournemouth is really well known in animation, journalism, mass communication, as well as tourism and hospitality. And I say tourism and hospitality because of the location. Bournemouth is, um, a popular holiday destination. So it's actually, a lot of students that are interested in tourism and hospitality, they actually get internships with hotels in Bournemouth town centers. I had a lot of friends that actually had internships with like Hilton and other like smaller hotels, but they actually had that opportunity just because of where Bournemouth University is located. So the reason why mass media and journalism is really well known is actually a little fun fact. But BBC News, which is I think one of the biggest news stations in the UK, actually sends over like kind of what they want, like what they want to see from students in future excuse me, in future potential employees. They send it over to Bournemouth and to like faculty, and students at Bournemouth are actually able to kind of study and enhance their skills to BBC level of journalism and mass media. And BBC actually likes to hire students from Bournemouth. So I think that's why our journalism school is so amazing. It's just because it is kind of in partnership with BBC News. So that's a little fun fact. But then, of course, there's also anthropology, archaeology, forensic, and geography. That's another really, really big kind of facet of Bournemouth. And actually, when I was looking for school, I was always interested in coming and studying in the UK, but I really just wanted to make sure they had my program. So I just typed in like forensic anthropology UK, and Bournemouth was the first one to pop up. So, and I, of course, I, did my research. I joined all these webinars and I applied. And so, essentially, it was just really comforting to know that like this was the right school in terms of like just finding like just randomly searching it. That's how I found it. A little fun fact, if any of you are interested in anthropology, there's an anthropology lab at Bournemouth, and there's actually 700 plus skeletons that students can use and study from. So I thought that was really cool, and I did not know that. So that was amazing, and I feel like I'm sure others, of course, other universities have, those things, but I just thought that was absolutely amazing coming from Bournemouth. It was so cool. So a little bit, there's the BU International College. So um, essentially, ooh, this is a new one. I've never seen this slide. But essentially, what this is kind of geared towards people who are from, other nationalities that are not dominantly English speaking. So they just this international college kind of helps those students essentially get like their English, get better, language tuition and study skills for English. So it's more like it's an international college, and this is located in Lansdowne, which is kind of separate from the Talbot campus. But this is a resource there that if you are coming from a country that's not English dominant and you want to, polish your skills in English and polish your skills and overall just get that extra, step and help if you are studying in the UK, and as well as just surround yourself with like-minded people. There is the BU International College, and it's really beautiful, and they have really nice lunches in there. I went in there a few times, and it was very, very nice. Really good facilities. So tuition fees, the fun part. It actually is kind of fun because in comparison to a lot of schools, this is really not that bad. So for all undergrad degrees as well, well, no, it's different now, but for all undergrad degree courses, it's £13,500 for 1 year. For postgrad, it can range between £11,000 and £14,500. Mine was 13,500 as a master's, so that can give you kind of a little bit on what. And then for the 14,500 for the post grad, it says yeah, you can, if you take an undergrad with BU. And so if some of you guys are interested in eventually pursuing a postgrad, you actually receive a 20% alumni discount if you do your undergrad at Bournemouth and continue on with your postgrad at Bournemouth University. So there's also a 5% discount for those who paid full amount at or before or at enrollment. And again, with like scholarships, and we're probably going to get to that, but Bournemouth is really, really good with scholarships. So if I could simplify this for you guys in US dollars, although it might be a little bit different now, because the US dollar is actually doing better. So, which is good news for you guys. But I think it's between, it probably, so 13,500, let's say, it would probably be around maybe $16,000 to $17,000. But I think it might even be better than that, just because I think that the exchange rate is getting a lot better. So that's very good news for you guys. Okay, scholarships. Okay, cool. So I was a little bit off the mark in a good way because this is the BU Academic Excellence Scholarship, and this is a scholarship I was talking about where if you're accepted into the course and you have an upper second class honor, so that's between a 3.2, 3.5 or higher, you are automatically slated to get this scholarship. So for undergrad international students, it's 2,500 pounds, and for postgrad international students, it's 3,500 pounds. So that actually went up by like 1,500 pounds. So that's really awesome. So since Bournemouth is getting more funding and more recognition, we're actually able to give more money. So, so essentially what happens is you apply, and then around the summer time, around like May, they start giving out these scholarships. And I remember I just received an email saying like, oh, you were awarded the scholarship, and it was deducted from the payment you have to pay in your tuition. So it's super simple. So there's some more. So there's the postgrad dean scholarships. So it's across all four faculties. So it's I believe it's almost every program, if not on bournemouth.ac.uk/scholarships. It'll explain more. But this is essentially a 50% decrease in your tuition. So your tuition is halved. So say your tuition is 13,500, you only have to pay 6,225 or 200. Sorry, 250. My math. Anyways, so and that postgrad dean scholarship is essentially the same as the academic excellence, meaning you have to have upper second class honors, but you actually have to apply for that one rather than just if you just apply for Bournemouth, you're automatically put into the award pool for the academic excellence awards. You actually have to fill out a piece of paper and send it in for the postgrad dean scholarship. One thing I can say about the postgrad dean scholarship is that they are awarded to international students that do have a high GPA. So even though the requirement is to have an upper second class honors, which is 3.2 or higher, it's always best if you apply and you have a strong GPA. And then public health courses have a scholarship, which gives you a 25% discount for only public health students. So pretty much the best way I can explain is that Bournemouth is very, very gracious with scholarships. And the Academic Excellence Award is unlimited. So you don't have to worry about like maybe you applied too late and now that scholarship has been awarded to everybody. It's unlimited, so you don't have to worry. There's more. There's the BU Excellence in Sports Scholarship. And you guys, like I said, if you go to bournemouth.ac.uk/scholarships, you can find like way more information on all this. And that's what I did. And that's where I found all the papers to fill out and where to send it to apply. But you can get up to £5,000 for the BU Excellence in Sport. And that's just to support elite athletes representing their sport. And then there's also the Columbia Partnership Scholarship. And that's more for people from Columbia, I believe. So, and that's a 20% discount. And there's just tons more. And that's all online. And that's the best way I could kind of explain, is just go online and search and search. So, essentially, this is the application, and this has changed since I've applied. But all applications for UK universities go through UCAS, and that's why it kind of says on the 15th of October, which it's way past that time, that they accept medicine and vet and dentistry. That's for Oxford and Cambridge. So if you guys are interested in Bournemouth, you don't have to worry about that. And Bournemouth is rolling admission, so it's not like you apply and then you have to wait until like March to find out if you get in. I applied to Bournemouth in November, and I heard back 2 weeks later. So it's really efficient, really quick. And the last deadline is June 30th, but I always say, like, apply as soon as you can, and then you'll have more time to plan everything, decide if you want to, if you do want to stick with it, and you have to figure out accommodation. So this is essentially what the application looks like. And you guys, if I'm going too fast, this PowerPoint will be emailed out to you guys after the webinar is over, as long with my voiceover too, so you guys can pause it and take notes. But it's kind of like every application, and I believe that I don't know if it's the same just because now we've been added in UCAS, but when I applied, the application was free. That might be different now. So if it is, and if some of you guys have applied, please correct me. Excuse me. Yeah, so essentially enter in BU institution code, what course, and the details of what course you're applying for, and then, all your details. So your education history, sometimes even work experience, a personal statement, one academic reference, and then just agree to terms and conditions and send it in. So it's different now. Postgrad students are sent directly to BU, and you actually send in your application through BU's form. And then this essentially is that, wow, this is a lot. This is new for me too. But applications are actually handled by the international admissions teams for fast responses. So you actually know whether or not if you are in the program within, 48 hours, which is incredible, because there were some schools that I applied for in the U.S. and I did not hear back until like May, or I just never heard back. So it was just really comforting that Bournemouth was like super on top of things. And then if I had a question, I could just email them and they would respond in 2 days, which like never happens in the academic world. So again, required documents. So you need, of course, academic certificates and transcripts. And if you are from a non-dominantly English-speaking country, you need proof of your English proficiency, a personal statement, academic reference, copy of your valid passport, a CV is optional, and then a portfolio, but that's for more like design and animation applications. They want to see a portfolio of your work that you've done. So it's a pretty standard application. Pretty much, if you are applying to a bunch of different schools, you should already have all this stuff anyways, and have a reference and anything, so it should be really fast. The only thing that's new is the passport deal. So personal statement, just in case you guys kind of need a little bit of tips if you guys haven't gotten to your personal statement yet. And it's always good just to have one. But essentially just, write your reasons for applying for the course and how it will benefit you, and then why you want to study at BU. Talk about what you've achieved and how it relates to the course, as well as talk about like what you want to do with your degree and your future career aspirations. And then you can talk about kind of what motivates you and how what you want to do and what you're passionate for, and why would this course be perfect in bringing out the best in you and your passion. And then if you have, relevant work experience, paid work, voluntary work, internships, or even hobbies and things you do, it's always great to kind of add that in there and just kind of talk about, why should Bournemouth want you, and what would you bring to Bournemouth, essentially, is the best way I could explain in a personal statement and to anywhere as well. A reference letter, this is kind of a little bit like, out of your hands just because you're not writing the reference letter. But you should always choose someone that, that you're comfortable with, that you know well, and that that would write you a good reference. So essentially, this is kind of, if this would be something that you would tell that reference, kind of like a rubric of what they should write or do points, because I do know that some references that I had asked me, what are the main points? But most of the time when you do have a reference that like a professor or like someone they've written reference letters before, so they normally know exactly what to write. So this is more of like a rubric that you would kind of write down and tell them if they are unsure. Accommodation. Now, the best way for accommodation, and I know that I'm like running a little low on time. For me, when I did these webinars and they were explaining accommodation, it kind of went over my head because I just needed I just needed the locations and like step by step of what it was like, what it looks like. But from my experience, I can tell you really fast. I lived in Chesel House, which is the Hall of Residence. So it was it was the first bullet point for cost of 2016 entry. It was between £115 and £195. Mine was, I believe, 130 something pounds. I lived in a studio flat, so I lived all by myself. And if I could just like sum up like UK living standards compared to like US living, like, dorms, it's like so much better because every single room, like every living situation, you have your own bathroom and your own shower, which is an ensuite bathroom, essentially. So that's what it means. They're private study and bedrooms. So you could live in a flat. You could share a flat with 5 other people. You guys all share kind of like a common area and you share a kitchen, but you have your own bathroom and your own shower in your room. So you never have to like walk out into the hallway and go into like a bathroom with a bunch of other people. So you never have to worry about that. And you can actually, decide on if you want to live, if you want to do co-ed or if you want to just live with, a bunch of girls, or if you want to live with boys. It just kind of depends on your preferences, is the best way I can explain it. But it's amazing, and it was just like the UK experience compared to the US experience was just like unparalleled. The best way I could explain it. So yeah, so there's tons of different options, and it really just depends on what's best for you financially, where you want to live. So if you want to live close to Talbot campus, you can live in the student village, which is the picture in the lower left-hand corner. I call that, it looks like Harry Potter. It looks like Privet Drive from Harry Potter. But that's like it's literally across the street from Talbot campus. So if you don't want to have to worry about like taking the bus to campus, you can live there. Or you can live in Lansdowne campus, which is like Purbeck House, Chesel House, Cranbourne House, and there's a few more. But and then you can just take the bus, and the bus stop is just right in front of all the accommodations, so you don't have to like walk far to go to the bus stop. And the bus comes during the week, during the school year, during the week, the bus comes every 10 minutes. So it's pretty convenient. And again, like my best tip for accommodation is just going online and searching, because they have like the map there, and if you want to live close to the beach, you can live in Lansdowne. You can kind of search and see, and you can see more pictures of the rooms. So like here, excuse me, there's like a common room, so that's like kind of there's like one room in the whole building, and they have like a pool table and TV and couches, and they have like bookcases full of books. But that's what the rooms look like. And what you don't see is the bathroom, which I was like most excited about the bathroom. I don't know if that's just like me, but I was like super happy to have my own shower and my own bathroom, because I was like, so used to that whole sharing mentality. And then just to finally not have to share with anyone was just really nice. So, quickly about sports. The best way I can explain is that there's classes and programs for everyone. So if you are more of like a not so much competitive, you can join like a society or a club sport. If you are competitive, Bournemouth does have sports teams. So much more different than the U.S. and how, there's different, I don't know, like there's the Big 12 in the U.S. It's so different in the U.K. And there's no American football. I always get questions about that, but there's no American. There's football, but it's soccer. There's over like 200 clubs and societies too. So if like sport is not your thing, you can do like anything. There's the Harry Potter club, there's the Doctor Who club, there's sailing, there's scuba diving, there's an anime club, there's a book club, there's anything you can imagine. And if they don't have what you want, you can just start your own club. So I just like, it was amazing. And there's a weekend where all the clubs and societies come out and bring their tables, and they have sign-ups. So you can sign up, and it's called Freshers Weekend. And I think it's the first Saturday of when school starts. And there's just tons of clubs out there, and you can kind of like Club Rush. Kind of that's what it is, but really cool. So kind of getting to the end, to sum it up really fast, but Bournemouth is like super helpful with everything and anything you can imagine. There's a medical center on campus. So if you don't feel comfortable going to the nearby Bournemouth hospital, and if you have like some issues during the week, because that's when it's open. It's only open during Monday and Friday. So on the weekends, you would have to go to the hospital in Bournemouth, but it's a short bus ride. You don't have to worry about that. But there is a medical center on campus. So if you need like medicine, you're feeling sick, you can go there. A little more complicatedness, but the UK has NHS, and when you do fill out a visa, you have to pay an NHS fee. So you are covered when you're there. So you essentially have free healthcare when you are in the UK, because you did pay for that NHS number when you applied for a visa. So safety and security, I know a lot of parents always wanted to know. My parents wanted to know, but there's constantly security on campus 24/7. And then there's also on-campus counseling, as well as like academic support, and the ALS. So like if you have like a learning disability or learning difference, or if you have like physical or sensory impairments, or like something that may hinder your student and your study experience, you can go there and you can get that additional support. For example, I have a hearing loss, so if I ever had issues with that, I would go there and I would get like preferences to sit in the front or something. But you don't have assigned seating, so I never had to worry about that. But yeah, and there's also like student support too. So in a sense of like, if you want to practice at writing a resume or interviewing for a job, there's actually resources for that. And there's also resources for like taking notes, how to take an exam, how to study for an exam, how to give a presentation, how to reference. BU has a different referencing system. So it's like BU Harvard instead of MLA or APA. So there's classes on that. So it's pretty much, it's just really helpful. That's the best way. And they're like welcome to you having questions and help. So we've kind of reached the end of the presentation. I'm hoping that it went well and you guys could hear me clearly and I kind of explained things to the best of my ability. But I guess the best way I can kind of sum up Bournemouth is that if you ever have questions for anyone and you just send an email to, okay, so at the bottom of this page, it's Luciana. She's the regional manager for the Americas and also my boss, but she's excellent and she is very efficient in her emailing. I was actually, when I was a prospective student, I would email her and she would respond in 24 hours or less, which was really, really comforting. So, especially, being an international student, you have a million questions. I had a million questions. So you can always email her and she'll answer back. Or if she doesn't know the answer, she'll send you an email or send you a person to ask them and they'll have an answer for you. And if they don't, then so on and so on. So I guess that's the best way I could explain Bournemouth is that they're always timely and they answer emails, which is just never really happened when anywhere else I applied to. No one else ever really answered emails. So I'm going to go into the questions and see if there's any. Okay, cool. So everyone could hear me and see the screen. That was very nice. That was good news. Okay. And then if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to send me the attendees. Awesome. Cool. Okay, first question is from Vincent. And they said, is a UCAS application for postgraduate studies as well? When I contacted admissions, they told me to fill out the BU applications. UCAS was not mentioned. Yes, so I can kind of scroll back. Whoops. You guys can all see my computer. Let me go here. I can go back, quickly answer that, because there is a little section. Right here. So yeah, so you have to do the BU online form. And essentially, this is like the UCAS I'd never had, so I did it through the BU online form. So yeah, so my best advice is really just to go to bournemouth.ac.uk/apply. And I think, because I think that's where you would end up going rather than UCAS. Let me check. Yeah, so it is different. So instead of going to ucas.com, you would just go to the one mentioned here. If that helps. If that helps, Vincent. Okay, if we applied to Bournemouth for our Chantrier, I don't know if I said that right. Hopefully I did. If we applied to Bournemouth for our master's, are we supposed to submit a UCAS? So no. So that's completely different than the postgrad. So if you just applied through BU, the bournemouth.ac.uk/apply, then you're okay. Okay, cool. Yep, I answered your question. I just got your next one. Okay, Catherine asks, are there a lot of undergrad international students? Yes, there are. I was actually, since I was an international student, I went to a lot of events that Luciana set up, and I met almost everyone at those events besides like maybe just me and a few other people, which ironically, all the people that were doing postgrad were all in my program. So it was really ironic and it worked out well. But everyone else that wasn't postgrad, and there were maybe like 4, not including me, were all undergrad international students. So that helps. And then you're going to be living in Poole with your family. Will it be harder to meet people since I won't be living on campus? I don't think so. I think everyone that I met was through my program. And Poole is like a completely different world from Bournemouth. Every time I went to Poole, I loved it. The only thing about Poole is it's just 30 minutes away from campus, so you might have to take the bus a little bit earlier than other people would. But I don't think it won't be hard for you to meet people, because if you are coming to campus, you'll meet people in your program and everything. So, and then your old undergrad school, many of the international kids stuck together and didn't really venture out of international students group. Is that how it is at BU? Um, I think it really depends on like who, because I can for one say that I made friends with a lot of the international students, and I did kind of um, hang out with the Americans, but actually the one person that I was close with was actually from Northern Ireland. So I think it really just depends on kind of like who's in your program, and kind of who you click best with, because a lot of people in my program are actually from the UK or from the EU, and I got along with them really, really well. So it kind of just depends on what like your preference is, I guess. But yeah, it's hard to explain, because I do know that some international students did kind of stick together just because it's more of a comfort thing. But I do know that it just depends on your course, and it's really not that hard to meet people from the UK, especially post grad, because undergrad I noticed that like a lot of like UK people kind of stuck together, but post grad everyone was from all over the place, and a lot of people were not already Bournemouth students, so it was a lot easier to kind of talk to people from different nationalities. Okay, when did I get my CAS or my CAS? I got it as soon as I sent in, so I had to send in my diploma and my transcripts. Um, and I had to send like scans of them. And as soon as I sent that and I proved that I graduated from my undergrad, um, then I got my CAS number. And then you need that to apply for a visa. So it's May. So if you are an undergrad graduating, um, I got it. I got my CAS in the first week of June, because it took my university forever to give me my diploma. I actually had to go to the office of, I don't think admissions. I had to go to the office that gave out the diplomas, and I was like, I need my diploma ASAP. And I ended up getting like two, because they gave me one extra fast, and then they mailed me one which got to my house like 2 weeks later. So yeah, I was like super stressed about it, but it's really not that much of a big deal. So, and then how much was it to get a bus pass? Um, and then which bus line would you recommend? Um, so if you're living in Poole, it depends, because so okay, so you're living with family, right? I believe, yeah, Catherine. Um, I don't know, because there's the uni buses and then there's the yellow bus. And the yellow bus, there's more buses and more options, and the yellow buses runs on the weekends. The uni bus, it's like U1, 2, 3, and 4. They run a lot during the week, but those don't run on the weekends. The ones on that bus pass that run on the weekends, it's the M1 and the M2. And those go to Poole, and it goes to Charminster, which are like the two neighboring cities of Bournemouth, where the yellow buses go everywhere. I'm not sure about the price of the yellow bus, but the BU bus, I believe, if you buy it separately, it's between, I think it's 200 something pounds for the year. I don't know the exact number, because I just got the BU bus or the uni bus included with my accommodation. But it's not that bad, and you ride the buses everywhere, so you'll get your money's worth. It's the best way I can explain it. But it's best to just go online. You can go just I don't know. I think it's to find the uni buses. Just type in like Bournemouth uni bus, and you'll find it online. And then type in like Bournemouth yellow buses, and then you'll be able to find those websites. So, Catherine. Michael asks, "Are there any specific areas to live if I bring a dog?" Um, I do not know. I do know that housing, like student housing, probably does not allow pets. Unilets might allow you to, and that just requires a lot of searching. And I think that question would best be here, and I'm going to go back to the very end. I don't mind going over too, so if you guys have somewhere to be, you guys are always welcome to leave, but I don't mind going a little over time limit. It's always best just to contact Luciana, because she'll actually know way more about like a specific like company or housing that would be able to have a dog, because I know that this is not a rare question. So I hope that helps. But yeah, I don't believe that the university housing allows pets. And then Michael also asked, when entering the country, my wife and I are both studying at BU. Do we need to both apply for our own student visa? Ooh, that's a good question. I would say yes, but don't trust my word, because the visa process is so complex. But I would definitely email. Like Luciana and double check on that, just because. Yeah, it can totally vary. And if she doesn't know, she'll direct you to someone who knows about visas. And the thing about applying for a visa, I was on that UK website, the official website of visas, and I printed out like every page and I was like reading it like a textbook, because I was just like so confused on so much of it. But it's really like, I thought it was like the most painful thing, but it's really at the end you just get your visa, and it was like, why was I so stressed? So yeah, Michael, definitely ask, because that's a good question. But I don't feel comfortable like being the end all say all word. You are welcome, Chantry. I hope I'm saying that right. I really hope. I don't want to be wrong. Cheryl asked, was it difficult or did it take long to get a student visa? No. The only thing difficult about the visa was just like, it was just stressful, really, because you have to send, depending on where you are. So if you are in the US, you have to send it to like New York, I believe. And you have to send your passport, your actual diploma, and your actual transcripts in a envelope, along with like other information, like your CAS document and everything. So yeah, that was stressful, because the idea of sending my passport, in the mail, I was like, oh my gosh. But it didn't take long. It took maybe 2 weeks to process it. And then I got it back relatively fast. So the only thing you have to be careful of is when you like you have to know exactly like what day you're going to be there. Because they give you a visa on your passport, but that's only valid for 1 month. So you can say like, I'm going to get to the UK on September 12th. You have between September 12th and October 12th to essentially go through customs with that visa on your passport, because then you have to go pick up your BMI or BR. I might be wrong because I'm blanking, but you have to go pick up a card, essentially. So I hope that helps. Vincent asks, would you recommend obtaining a student visa before acceptance or waiting for a response first? I ask because I know in my hub there's a tab for visa information. I got my student visa after I accepted. So I got a conditional offer to Bournemouth, which means that I would get an unconditional offer once I sent in my final diploma and my final transcripts that prove that I graduated from an undergrad. And I'm blanking. Sorry. So after I did that, I got the unconditional offer, and then I got my CAS document, and then I applied for a visa, like right after. Like as soon as I got that document, I was like, okay, I'm applying. And I think I applied for my CAS like first week of July, I believe. I mean, applied for my visa, sorry, not my CAS. So, yeah, just wait until you get, because I don't think you can get a visa until after you accept your unconditional offer, because then you get a CAS, and you need that number in your visa because that number proves that you're going to be a student in the UK, which is what gets your student visa. And then Michael asked, I'm in the MBA program. Do you know how I could find out what a typical week would look like? Ooh, that's a good question. Go online and look around, kind of search around the program, and look. It's kind of hard because like I know a lot of those like international. I know there's like a lot of like blogs and international student blogs and postgrad student blogs, but I don't know if there's any for specifics in the MBA program. I do know that if you email Luciana, because she just is really good at that sort of stuff, she'll definitely be able to, I'm sure, set something up for you, or maybe even get you into contact with someone in the MBA program, and they could tell you what a typical week would look like if that helps. So hopefully that helps. Okay. And then Skylar says, are the athletic facilities nice? Yes, they're very nice. There's actually an on-gym campus. A gym on the campus. An on-campus gym is what I meant to say. And it's really nice. It's a really nice gym. I don't know the exact cost because I believe that it might have gone up since I've last known, but that's all on Sport BU. I can show you guys that well the way. Sorry. Yeah, but the athletic facilities are really nice, and they actually have like rooms. They have like 30 plus classes too. So if you want to take like yoga or everything, there it is. They have like rooms and anything. Yeah, so anything like athletic or sport related, just like search Sport BU, and that Sport BU or sports at Bournemouth University, and that should come up, and that'll show you everything that you want to know. But yeah, they're really nice. I used the gym on campus, and I loved it. So, and they have everything, and gym facilities. So, yeah, they're really nice. Vincent asks, do you know if there are student loans Americans can apply for either in the U.S. or England to support some of the cost and tuition? Okay, so I had to pull out a student loan for Bournemouth. I had to go through Sally Mae just because I don't think I didn't qualify for a federal loan, so I had to get a private loan. So I did Sally Mae. So you can check in the Sally Mae, and they I think they were one of the few that actually just like sent the check to Bournemouth. It was like, I thought it was going to be so complicated, but it was really, really simple process. They like send the check over there. They let you know. I think they call you or they email you, the Bournemouth financial office, to call you and email you to come and sign the check and to kind of just be, there when Bournemouth takes it. And then they just, depending on how big your loan is, because I used some of my loan to pay for my accommodation, they just take out the money for the tuition, and then they give you back the tuition in pounds. So I don't mind telling you, but I pulled out maybe like 26,000, and they gave me back. The money they gave back, instead of it being in dollars, it was in pounds. So then I was able to put it in my UK bank easily, and I didn't have to worry about all that trouble. So it was really, really simple. But yeah, there are student loans. You just have to find the right one. And I do know that there is help. Bournemouth does help. Like, I think there's a special section just for federal loans and helping U.S. students with loans. So I have to do some digging on that. And again, you're always welcome to email Luciana, or you can email, this is another good one, but ask BU inquiries And I'm actually going to put that into the chat, that email. I should have done that in the beginning. But putting that email address in the chat. And that's also a really good one to look into if you want to send in a question. And then I'm also, just to make it easier for you guys, I'll put in Luciana's as well so you guys can like copy and paste. And then I think I have one more question, but if you guys have any last minute questions, feel free to send it in. I do know that we went a little over time, but I never really mind answering questions. And then Catherine asked another question. Someone told me that your timetable or schedule changes every week. Is that true? For me, no, that wasn't true. I always made sure just to check because sometimes you might have like they might be in a different room or it could be a different time. But only one class did that, and I think that just depended on like another class had that time slot, and it was a higher, like it gives like I can't think of the word, but that class was put on a higher pedestal than the class I was in, so they got that time slot, and so this class had to be switched around, or it depends on like the professor's schedule. But no, I had a set schedule for the most part. I never had to worry about my schedule changing. But that could just be my program. I don't know if that's the case for all the programs, but yeah, I never had to worry about schedule, like random schedule changes. And if there were, the professor did send an email. So, okay, I think that's the last question. Double check. Okay. If there are, if you guys do have last minute questions, please let me know. I'll just be on here for another like 2 minutes. But if you guys don't have questions, the webinar is over. So, like I said, definitely look in the chat and copy and paste those emails. Hopefully they are. Oh, Skylar, I think. Cool. I think Skylar has a raised hand. Let me look at that. Nope, not raised hand. And I can always unmute you, so if you want to just talk to me through the mic, you can. But if you want to just, that was okay. Okay, yeah, it was an accident. No worries. Cool. So yeah, if you guys are all good, you guys are welcome to leave. And then I'll just, one more minute, I'll stay on, and then I'll head on out. But yep.